Hi guys, Tucker here with a new video, and this video is the PTR development notes about the class changes. I'm going to talk only about the class changes. I made a video about the Battleground Blitz explanation, so if you want to check that out, please do check that out at the end of the video, because this video will be also very informative. So I also played on the PTR. I will probably make a visual learning kind of videos for every single class where I feel like there is a lot of things to explain and to check it out. For example, the rogue rework is probably going to make a video, because I can read everything, but you will only probably understand once you can actually see it, because there's a lot of explanation behind those things. But let's talk about class per class on a really brief note. So Unholy Decay they changed for the PvE side of things, but I think it will be also for PvP. They kind of want to go away from the full haste stacking thing, and they want to actually give more damage like naturally without the haste buffs from priests, from yourself, and from other factors. So we have Unholy Assault actually now increases all damage dealt by 20% instead of granting 20% haste for 20 seconds. Now, is it going to be a buff or a nerf? I actually don't know. I have to test it out. But I think overall it's meant as a nerf, because they want to step away from the multiple sources of haste. But we'll have to see. I think for arenas, it will be probably for the better, because I don't think you get like a PI every single time in arenas, especially if you're not playing with a priest. So I think this can be resulting to bigger burst windows for Unholy Decays. If right now you can actually do a 100k death core, it will do even more. So that's going to be quite nice. Raise Dead, damage increased by 10%. Summon Gargoyle actually nerfed, so that's gone. You already didn't play with that, so now even less. Soul Reaper damage increased by 20%. Armor of the Damned damage of goals reduced by 25%. So they're actually killing pet damage, like just the summons from it. But the main pet does more damage. Apocalypse Ghoul damage increased by 12%, so it's separate from the Army of the Dead, so I think it's for the better, especially for PvP. Death Call damage increased by 12%, interesting. Again, the stacks with Unholy Assault will be quite glorious. Scar Strike and First Ring Strike also increased by 20%. Scar Strike being increased means that you have also the other one, I don't even remember the name. Cloud Shadows will also be increased by 12%. First Ring Moons also 10%. Demon Hunters, they will get a rework very soonish, but they are not like ready to show it on the PTR. So they're going to make it more available to get your utilities and your survivability talents, and also get like more clear and concise DPS changes. And now the exciting things about druids. I think this is going to be quite exciting. So they're going to step away from Orbital Strike being mixed in with Celestial Alignment. So basically they're going to make a choice node for wild mushrooms being able to be taken instead of orbital strike. If you want to have more consistent damage, or if you want to have big burst damage, you can take orbital strike, and then you can just pair it separately with celestial alignment. So it's going to be quite interesting to play around that. Again, we'll have to see, but you can then have an eclipse, go for the orbital strike, and then go for, let's say, a full-on celestial alignment go, because you already have used all the CDs, for example, to survive that orbital strike. Now you're going to have no CDs for the celestial alignment. So it's going to be quite interesting. The damage of all abilities increased by 2%. So that is tuning. Again, all those tuning numbers are going to change somehow, some way at the end of 10.2. It will be higher, or it will be lower, or it will be staying the same. A Power of Gold Ring damage increased by 20%. It will be moved to where Star-Lord was located in Fractures in Times. Star-Lord also has moved to where Power of Gold Ring was located in Fractures in Time. So this is the patch, but I don't remember where the position was. But again, I'm going to make a visual video about every single change. But right now, I'm going just to say the changes that they are and make you excited about watching the other videos. Orbital Strike has been redesigned, so now call down a bombardment of celestial energy of the target area, and applying Stellar Flare to them for 16 seconds. So it's basically the same, has 90-second CD. It will be also like a choice node with wild mushrooms. Now fungal growth has been removed and it will be included with wild mushroom, so you have more talents to spend. So I think it's a good thing. It will be reduced though, but the fungal growth damage over time has been reduced 60%. Of wild mushroom damage was 70%. So it will be interesting how the choices can be made. Feral Druids also got a few changes. The one I'm actually the most excited about is Cat's Curiosity. Has been replaced with a new talent, Saber Jaws. When you spend extra energy of Feral Spite, the extra damage is increased by 40% or 80% because it's a 2-point talent. It's going to be quite big. It's going to be quite nice. And Shaman's Guidance, which is the effect for Incarnation Avatar of a Shaman, has been redesigned. Now, for the duration of Avatar of Shaman and also 30 seconds after it ends, your Rip and Rake each cause affected enemies to take 3% increased damage from your abilities. So it's going to be more modifiers, but I think that's a quite boring talent, to be honest. Restoration Druid has multiple changes where I'm super excited about. I actually can't wait to play Resto Druid. So now you have Tree of Life has been redesigned. Pretty much, you summon a Grove Guardian every 10 seconds, and the cooldown of Incarnation Tree of Life is reduced by 5 seconds when Grove Guardians fade. It's very cool because you also have your separate talent that can actually get those Grove Guardians, so you will have a faster Tree of Life. But also, now Additionals empowers Wrath, causing it to deal 20% more damage and also being instant cast. So you can also use it as a burst window. And you will see further down the line the damage is going to be quite nasty. Reforestation now grants Incarnation Tree of Life for 10 seconds. New talent, Liveliness. So they remove Circle of Life and Death and they replace it basically with your damage over time effects deal their damage 25% faster, or your heal over time effect heals for 5% faster. The Grove trees pretty much gets nerfed. Grove Tending Healing increased by 30%, but Grove Guardians, Nourish, Swiftmend, and Wild Growth gets reduced. It was quite a substantial healing buff, so it's going to be reduced because of that. Luxuriant Soul, I don't care about that. Regrowth Initial Healing increased by 20%. Regrowth Healing over time effect increased by 42%. Rejuvenation by 25%. Wild Growth by 15%. Wrath and Starfire damage increased by 90%. So again, if you see where I'm coming from, it's going to be quite nice to actually deal damage as a Restoration Druid, especially from afar. Unluckily, you don't really have anything for the cat feral affinity kind of gameplay for Resto Druid, but we'll have to see down the line. Abundance, which is a choice node with Cenarian Ward, is getting also a buff, but the Cenarian Ward gets a healing buff. So you have a lot of buffs, like healing wise. I wonder if they're going to compensate with a nerf in PvP, but right now it is not the case. There is a mana buff here. Embrace of the Dream Healing reduced by 30%. Flourish now extends the duration of all heal over time effects on friendly targets within 60 yards by 6 seconds. Increase the rate of your heal over time effects by 25%. So that's a nerf actually. That's a big nerf. Flourish procs from Convoked Spirits now extends heal over time effects by 3 seconds and last 3 seconds. So it can also proc. It could already proc, I think. But anyways. And nerf on the set bonus, but you will have another one anyways. Evoker gets a few changes, basically to be less reliant on the Mastery Giant Killer. Preservation got a few healing buffs, but really it's only numbers, so numbers are going to be changed anyways. There is a redesign on the BM tree, which I'm actually very excited about. Finally, some choices about BM Hunter. I might play it again. So basically, Aspect of the Wild has been removed, and now you have a new talent, which is Savagery Passive. Kill command damage is increased by 10%, and Barb Shot lasts 2 seconds longer, replaces Aspect of the Wild. So to keep the dot, it will be very easy if you're playing full haste. Master Handler has been redesigned. Each time Barb Shot deals damage, the cooldown of kill command is reduced by 0.5 seconds, so it will be also promoting spread damage from your Barb Shot. Call of the Wild has been slightly redesigned. So now the cooldown is 2 minutes instead of 3. much easier to use in BGs and in arenas. And the base ability now also adds another functionality. Whenever Call of the Wild summons a pet, the cooldown of kill command and bob shot are reduced by 50%, so it's even easier to maintain those bestial wrath goes or to do even more damage as with kill command. It's going to be very low CD. Choice notes for Call of the Wild updated as well. The one where I am more excited about is while Call of the Wild is active, each time your kill command, if each time you're doing that, your kill command targets takes 3% more damage from all of your summons. This effect stacks, so if you're doing like 3 or 4 kill commands, it's going to be quite significant to actually use it and to deal damage. The good thing is also they're going to reduce a lot of those 3 pointers on the BM tree. So 3 of the hunts, which is the crits increases every time you're going to barb shot, I think. If I'm not mistaken, it will be stacking up to 2-4 times, so it will be 8% max instead of 9%. It's a slight nerf, but I think the extra talent point will be super useful. And Dark Command also is now a 2 rank talent instead, so each point grants 15-30% chance to trigger, which is quite good. Snakebite has been removed, but Snakebite was never used in PvP anyway, so it doesn't matter. Let's talk about MM. So now you have a redesign on the White Windrunner's Guidance. I think it's still a boring talent. Fire that reduces the cooldown of rapid fire by 0.5 seconds, and every 8 wind arrows increases the duration of your next true shot by 1 second. I am not a fan of that, so it doesn't matter. Survival gets actually their wildfire bombs set into their kit, so they really liked it on the set, and they find that it's deserving a place in the kit, like base kit. So it's going to be a nerf buff for wildfire bombs by 40%. The set bonus, of course, you're going to change it anyways, is going to suffer from it, but it doesn't matter. Holy Paladin, all healing reduced by 3%, but Holy Light healing increased by 40%. Flash of Light and healing increased by 30%, and Daybreak now restores only 2k mana instead of 3k. Reclamation now restores up to 12% of Crusader Strike and Holy Shock's mana cost, so it's also a nerf on the mana. And the healing and damage is now increased by 4% per target, was 6%, but the base damage is increased by 10%. So it's an overall buff in arenas. I think it's a nerf for Mythic Plus, but I think it's still fine. Priests, there's a lot of changes for Disc Priest. To be honest, it deserves a whole video, but I'll make a visual video for that. Pretty much they nerfed power fusion, haste, and the duration, so don't be surprised about that. I think it's probably deserved for PvE. I think PvP, it's still very easily dispelled, so I don't know if it's that worth to actually nerf it, but it means that you have way better buffs going on down the line. So you have damage dealt to Shadow Word Death is going to be increased to yourself, so again, high risk, high reward. Mass Dispel is now a cooldown of 2 minutes instead of like 45 seconds, and you have a PvP talent to reduce the CD of Mass Dispel by 60 seconds instead of 20 seconds. It has no longer reduced cast time of Mass Dispel, so it will be easier to kick, and it's also going to be replaced with Mental Agility in the priest tree, which is going to reduce the mana cost for Purify Disease, and Mass Dispel and Dispel Magic by 50% or 10%. Discipline Priest, a lot of changes. Chism is now a passive talent, so it will cause Mind Blast to fracture the enemy's mind, increasing your spell damage to the target by 10%. And also Shadow Covenant is now baked in with Shadow Fiend and Mindbender, which enters you into a Shadowy Pact, transforming Halo, Divine Star, and Penance into a Shadow spells, and increase the damage and healing of your Shadow spells by 25% for 15 seconds or 7 seconds if it's a Mindbender. Very cool. Means you have less startup time and more actual damage time and healing time, so it's going to be quite nice as well. Mind Blast is now a 24-second CD, kind of replacing Chism. Mind Blast damage has been increased by 30%. Dark Indulgence no longer grants an additional charge for Mind Blast, but instead will grant you power of the dark side 100% of the time, which is again going to make Penance very much the main thing for next patch, because you will see even more changes down the line. Inescapable Torment, which is the one thing that is actually the TP on the Shadow Fiend or Mindbender, whatever you're using an ability like Mind Blast or Shadow Word Death. Now is also going to trigger from Penance. Now I wonder if it's every single bolt of Penance or if it's only the one cast. I think it's the one cast, or else it will be too OP. Invincible Torment is now a 1 point talent instead of 2, which is good. Solace is gone because again it's a damaging button that is on CD that is cramping up on the rotation. Harsh Discipline is finally reworked to the state of Shadowlands. So now instead of 4 spellcasts of Smite, Mind Blast, or Shadow or Power Word Solace, now it will be a 60% if you have 2 points, a chance to cause your next penance to be free and fire 3 extra bolts, which is going to be pretty lit because again Power Word Radiance is something you're kind of spamming, especially in arenas, but also in BGs. So it will give you more damage on penance, but also more healing. And also you have some new talents now. Sanctuary, Smite prevents the next 80% damage dealt by the enemy, which is insane in my opinion. New talents, Ultimate Penitence, ascend into the air, unleash a massive barrage of penance bolts, causing holy damage to enemies or healing to allies over 6 seconds. While ascended, gain a shield for 50% of your health. In addition, you are unaffected by knockbacks or crowd control effects. So that is their kind of like spirit form kind of thing for this priest. So it's going to be insane. I'm looking forward to play that. I think healers are going to be a bit more cool next patch, especially disc and restoration druids. You have Heaven's Wrath. Each penance bolt you fire reduces the cooldown of ultimate penitence by 2 seconds. Now I don't know how much the CD is, but I think if it's 3 minutes or 2 minutes, I think it's acceptable. Overloaded with light, ultimate penitence emits an explosion of light, healing up to 10 allies around you and applying at 50% of normal duration. Very cool, especially in BGs. Penance damage increased by 15%, penance healing increased by 30%, so it's going to be very much penance heaven for Disc Priest, which is a good thing because that was actually the fun thing about Disc Priest, those bolts of penance actually hitting the DPS or the enemy. Powered Barrier now reduces 20% of all damage taken instead of 25%, so that's a nerf. Atonement now heals 32% of damage done, but whenever you're not in a raid, it will be increased by 50%, so it's going to be an overall buff if you are in arenas or in BGs also. I think it's going to be increased. I don't know how it works in BGs, but Flash healing is increased by 40%, Power Word Shield absorption increased by 10%, Divine Age is now a 1 point talent, and Light Wrath, Resplendent, Light, Wrath Unleashed, and Make Amends have been removed, which is probably going to be replaced with those towns. Holy Priest gets a few buffs and a few nerfs. Nerfs on the mana regen, also on the CD regeneration, on the major defensive ability of your friends. But also just in general healing decrease on Divine Star and Halo. Shadow, you get some good buffs or nerfs depending. Surge of Insanity now is every 3 casts instead of every cast, but you get more damage on Insanity, and Mind Flay and Mind Spike Insanity by 30% and 20%. So I think it's going to be increasing the damage, but you will have less of those Surge of Insanities than currently. Monks, you get like a few huge buffs actually. Life Cocoon, Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, Misty Peaks gets a nerf though. Enveloping Breath gets also a nerf. Invigorating Mist is a buff for arenas at least. Burst of Life is also a buff. 5v5 is also a buff. A lot of buffs, to be honest. Ancient Teachings range increased to 40 yards and was 30 yards, so healing will be a bit easier if you're going fist weaving. For the rogue changes, I'm going to be honest, you can pause the video and read it, but I will make a separate video about it because all those changes are very, not convoluted, but very hard to explain at video time, and it would be like 30 minutes to actually explain this, so I'm going to make a video about it on the PTR and show you guys the changes, which I am very excited about. Again, rogues are going to be feeling fun, especially subtlety rogue, outlaw rogue, and assassination rogues. Both 3 specs are going to be insane. A lot of changes, by the way, a lot of changes. Killing Spree is now a finishing move, so it's going to be quite lit. I wonder how much damage you can actually perform with it. A lot of changes, so I'm going to talk about it on a separate video, so if you want to check that out, please pause the video right now. if you want to read it. It's for subtlety rogues, outlaw rogue here. Pause the video. And assassination rogues, it's even more. You can even have 300 energy, which is quite insane. But you'll have to see. You'll have to see. Check it out. Shaman's got a few changes. So Mana Spring got a nerf. Enhancement Shaman got primordial wave spell damage increased by 500%. So I guess it's going to be hitting for 30k or 40k, I think. It's not going to be exceptional, but it's something. They want to actually make you play around Primordial Wave with the tier sets. I'm going to discuss about it on a separate video. There are multiple videos going to come out in a very short time frame. So if you want to check that out, please just subscribe on the channel. Restoration Shaman's got a buff for PvE, but I think it's also a nerf on the PvP side of thing, or at least like a status quo. Primordial Wave replicates Healing Wave by 40% effectiveness instead of 60%. That's actually a nerf. No, it's not really a nerf because it's compensated with Healing Wave increased by 30%. So it's fine. Cloudburst got a nerf, but I think it's still compensated with this. Ascendance also nerfed, but it's compensated with this. Mana Tide Totem now increases mana regeneration by 80% instead of 100%. And Resurgence now restores 20% less mana. Affliction Warlock has a change on Grand Warlock design. Now it's like a reduced CD by 30 seconds. You have a lot of PvP changes. I'm going to talk about it a bit further into the video. Demonology Warlock has a lot of changes here. They actually redesigned it to try to make Nether Portal and Tyrant windows not everything. And you also have your pets now that are dealing a bit more damage. But I'm not really convinced. I think they need a rework, but we'll have to see. You have now Demon Summon from your Nether Portal deal 15-30% increased damage. Demonic Knowledge now has a 10% chance to generate a demonic core, I guess. Volatile Fiend's Implosion deals more damage, and Bill Scorch Bombers deal more damage as well, and your spells now has a chance to summon a Bill Scorch Bomber. I still think you're still not taking that though. Summon Demonic Tyrant has been redesigned, so now it will increase the duration of your Dreadstocks, 5 hint, Felguard, and up to 10 of your Wild Imps for 15 seconds. And your Demonic Tyrant increases damage of affected demons by 15% while damaging your target. Ring of Tyranny has been redesigned, so it will pretty much just improve your Demonic Tyrant again. Pretty much. Inner Demons no longer has a chance to summon an additional demon, so I think that's not good anymore. Demonic Core is no longer baseline, but it's now just implemented with Demon Bolt. Shadow Bolt damage increased by 30%, Demon Bolt increased by 15%, Foul Fiends damage increased by 15%, and Bloodbound Imps has been removed. So we'll have to see if it's going to be an overall buff or nerf. Good thing about the Restriction Warlock is now Madness of Ashikir is just gone now, and it's like a baseline. Improve your Chaos Ball damage by 8 to 15%, and your Shadow Burn by 5 to 10%. But Chaos Bolt gets even more buffed with just a baseline buff to 50%. And you also have a redesign on the Summon Infernal cooldown. It's now reduced by 60 seconds, so it's going to be quite nice, I think, in 2-minute CD on Infernal. If you're playing that, I don't think you're going to play that though. And Madness of Ashikir is now going to be removed, so overall it's going to be better. But your cast time is going to suffer for sure, because it also reduced the cast time, but the damage is going to be increased, so at all times. So your first Chaos Bolt is going to hurt as much as the second one, so it's going to be quite interesting. So those are the normal PTR changes. I'm going to go further on the PvP side of things. So you have a few changes here and there. Big PvP change, which I'm going to probably make a video about it, talking a bit more in depth about what it will change for arenas. But the cooldown of Gladiator's Medallion is now 90 seconds for all healer specialization instead of 120, which is a 2-minute CD. Trinket is now a 1.5 minute CD for healers instead of a 2-minute CD. So CC is going to be less punishing. I think it's going to be interesting for healers to play and see how the meta will revolve. I think it's going to be quite interesting. I think since there is a lot of CC in the game, instead of reducing the CC, they can reduce the CD on trinkets. I think it will be quite effective. I think human will be even more stronger because you will have a 1.5 minute CD on trinket, and then you have like your human trinket, which is going to be resetted, I think 1 minute later, or vice versa, which effectively will make you trinket way often. So it's going to be quite interesting. Preservation gets a nerf on healing, but that's just compensation from the PTR. Hunters gets a huge buff, which survival tactics has been redesigned. Feign death reduces damage taken by 90% for 3 seconds. So I think it will be a hunter patch, guys. Monks get a compensation nerf of the enveloping mist, but it's already compensated with the PTR, with the PvE changes. Vivify direct healing is now reduced by 20% instead of 10%. I think it's also compensation on the PvE buffs. Holy Light no longer increased by 47%. That's also compensation from the PvE buffs. Flash of Light no longer increased by 30%. Also compensation of the PvE buffs. Discipline Priest got a compensation nerf on Atonement, but you got buffed in PvE. Flash Heal is no longer increased by 30% in PvP combat. So it's also compensation nerf. You have also a lot of compensation nerfs here and there. You have now reduced physical damage taken by 15% and magic damage taken by 5%. So that's going to be quite interesting. Again, versus physical damage deals, you're going to be feeling a bit more tanky, which is a good thing, I guess. A compensation nerf on Healing Surge and on Healing Wave, because you got those buffs on the PvE side of things. Warlocks get Demon Skin back, so now you're going to feel less able to die versus like warriors, for example. It will grant 45 to 90% armor increase per talent point, so it's going to be quite interesting. Affliction Warlock, they removed Rapid Contagion, but they added a new talent, which is Jinx. Casting a curse now applies corruption and agony to your target, but curses now cost 1 soul shard. Now, is it going to be a good PvP talent? I don't know. You have to use a lot of soul shards to spread it, and every time you're going to curse, it's going to use a soul shard, and if it gets dispelled directly, it's a bit sad. So I'm not sure if I'm going to play with that. If I played Affliction Warlock, corruption damage got increased, agony got increased, even stable affliction got increased, but got nerfed on the rampant affliction, which if you can now a stable affliction on multiple target, it will be nerfed, but it's actually a compensation nerf on the buff. So it makes that rampant affliction will just get nerfed overall, but not that much. There's a world where you're not playing rampant affliction and you're playing like single target and stable affliction and try to have the most damaging dot possible, but we'll have to see if it's possible to play around that. Oblivion now costs 2 soul shards instead of 3. New PvP talents for warriors is Safeguard. Intervene now has 2 charges and reduces allies damage taken by 20%. This is really cool, but the intervene cooldown is now increased by 10 seconds, so you have to be careful about that. It's going to be quite interesting, but you have already a lot of good PvP talents for warriors, but that is actually also usable for Fury. So Fury has also something utility wise on their PvP talents now. Battlefield Commander is a new PvP talent for arms, Fury, and Protection Warrior. Your shout abilities have additional effects. So Battle Shout will increase your stamina. Piercing Howl will root the target, so that's actually interesting. Berserker Shout is the anti-fear, anti-incap to your allies, is now increased by 8 yards, so it's easier to stop a sap or a fear for yourself and your allies. Intimidating Shout cooldown reduced by 15 seconds, so I think you can just combine it with another talent, which we'll have to see. Rallying Cry, no, excuse me, that is just your fear, excuse me. It's not going to be that interesting, but real Rallying Cry removes movement impairing effects and grants 30% movement speed to allies. This is actually insane. This is like the conch banner from Shadowlands, so it's going to be really, really cool. Wow, that's actually very cool. That's very, very strong actually. On Arms Warrior, it's going to be insane. With Avatar and Bladestorm as well, and yeah, it's going to be insane. Thunderous Roar, targets receive 5% more damage from all sources while bleeding. Interesting, very interesting. Storm of Destruction has been redesigned, so now instead of reducing, it's still reducing the CD, but also snares all targets you hit by 70% for 8 seconds. So it's going to be very, very utility based. People are going to be absorbed by the battleground, by the Bladestorm, so it's going to be really cool to play around that. I'm actually excited about the changes, guys. So those are the changes pretty much of all class changes. I know it's a long video, but I will make another video where it's more about visual changes. So you will see what is changing on your class or spec. I will try to make it for every single class that is taking some substantial buffs and nerfs. But I think rogues are very exciting. I think druids are very exciting. I think disc priest is also very exciting. Hunter, BM Hunter is going to be very exciting as well because it's new again, more choices. The DH rework will be also very interesting, so be checking out on the PTR once it's going to be up. And Holy DK also got a lot of changes. We'll have to see if it's a buff or a nerf. In my books, in arenas is going to, and also BGs is going to be a buff, but for PvE it's going to be a straight nerf. That's how I see it. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. I covered the BG changes and the BG design and my opinion about it and everything. I made a video about it, so please do check that out. I'm going to make videos about every single class and spec changes visually, at least for the ones that are actually substantial. Like for example, I'm not going to do about warriors in my opinion, because I think it's too little to make a video about it. But if they made changes extra, I will make a video about warriors. But I think a priest, druids, rogues, BM hunter, who else am I missing? Even warlocks, I think it's very small, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. But overall, I think it's going to be a very good patch. If they're keeping up the pace, I think if they keep up the communication, hopefully they communicate even more, it's going to be one of the best patches of Dragonflight, that's for sure. So we'll have to see if it's going to be good or not. But please let me know in the comment section below what you think about the video. I know it's a long video, but I wanted to share every single point and talk about it and express my opinions about it. But overall, I'm very excited, so I hope you guys are also very excited about it. I will have to make a lot of videos, guys, and I think that's a good thing for me, but also for the overall World of Warcraft community. Again, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Be sure to stay safe. We'll catch you all probably very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.